All right, y'all. What's good? Hope everybody's well. Welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. Man, it is it's a beautiful day. Chilling. Just had a great phone call from my son, a couple nights ago. Called me out the blue to thank me, right, for all the things I taught him, from cooking to everything else. And it's a beautiful thing, man, when you get to see your children grow. Watch your son become a man and learn to stand on his own 2 feet. You can't do nothing but smile. So I'm in all kinds of a good space. But we're not going to be here long. There's just a couple things that I wanted to show you and, just kind of put on your radar. I'm not going to go into depth on a couple of them, but, some of them I just thought were important. That said, let me go ahead and put a couple on the screen. All right. So first off, you know the deal. Support the show. Like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel so we can continue to bring you this independent black male thought. So please make sure you do. You can do so via Patreon, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. You can become a member on Patreon, especially, if you want to enjoy some of my monthly film reviews. Matter of fact, tonight I will be doing a Black Masculinist review of the 688s. I guess that's what it is. Tyler Perry's flick. So I will be doing that at 5 p.m. Pacific. So join the Patreon, check it out, become a member, so on and so forth. So hope to see you there. All right. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you pick up the book, Solutions for Anti-Black Misandry by yours truly. And you can check out more about where I'm coming from, what my arguments are. And if you are a follower of the show, you can definitely take advantage of much of the the citations, the sources for the things we've been arguing. So you can use that in your own daily life. All right. So this ran across my desk and I thought this was important to share. Now, this is coming off of blackdemographics.com, but it's sourced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Excuse me. This is coming from the fourth quarter of 2024. So it's very recent, very fresh data, right? Men weekly hours worked, average weekly hours worked by full-time employees by race and ethnicity. And it's very rare to find data that's disaggregated by both race and gender. That's one of the things I look for most. Usually at best, they're separated, right? There's race and then there's another chart on gender, but sometimes you can find them overlapped, and here you do. In regard to black men, we find that out of each group of men, Hispanic, Asian, white, and black men in that order, the hours worked on a weekly basis is increased. So in other words, black men work more hours on a weekly basis than really any other group. At 43 hours a week, the average there, white men at 42.6, Asians at 41.8, Hispanic at 41.5. Now, this doesn't designate who gets paid the most. We all know that's not the framework, but it's an interesting, piece of information, especially when you're dealing with folks that, really like to argue for, ideas about black laziness, things of that nature. This is an interesting chart that you can definitely use to make your arguments. So again, not going into great depth, just wanted to show it to you. If there's anything you guys would like to discuss in relation to this, let me know, and we may go further. But I just wanted to put this on your awareness. That's about it. Now this one I'll get to in a second. Man, sorry, things are going real weird here. All right, so let me get to the second one. Now this one is just something that came across my desk the other day, And I thought it important because this is not something I thought I would see in my lifetime. So, we're on imdb.com. And this is a film about Fanon, Frantz Fanon. Says 2024. I've heard nothing about it till a couple days ago on Facebook. Brother named Quadwo, posted it. So I shared it, but I did not know there was a film on Fanon that's out. It says Alexandra Boyer, I guess, has played the role. They don't have his picture there, but you saw him above, and a number of others, directed by Jean-Claude Flamand Barney, right? Written by Philippe Bernard and Jean-Claude Flamand Barney. Let me see, just real quick. They can tell us anything about the writers. Okay. I usually like to look for pictures, but might have to delve into this more in depth another day. Yeah, I don't, kind of not showing any pictures there. So I'm not sure who we're dealing with, but nevertheless, you got a film on Frantz Fanon that is supposedly out. So I haven't looked for it yet, but I just wanted to share the fact that it exists, because if there were two people that I never thought I'd see a film about, one was Nat Turner. Well, I would have said before early 90s, I would have said Malcolm X, Nat Turner, and Frantz Fanon. I mean, for different reasons, but still, I just would have never pictured there being a film on any of those. And we've gotten now 3 out of 3. So I can't speak to whether the film is good, whether it isn't. All I can say is apparently it's out there. So I'm going to try and get my hands on it. And if anybody's seen it, make sure you comment in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts. But I think an important historical figure that we should know more about. And I think film is one of those genres that allows us to kind of get a better grasp of somebody's life, unless you're really, ready to commit to reading their autobiographies and so on and so forth, which most people don't. It is what it is. So I'm glad the film is out, but I can't speak to it. I don't know really anything about the people who made it. So I'm not vouching for it. I'm just letting you know it exists. That's about the best I can do. So, check it out. And, for those of you that may have already seen it, let us know your thoughts. Okay? Now, this next one actually relates to some of the, I'll flip it. Let me do one thing first before we get to that. I wanted to kind of wanted to give people, I won't call it a warning, because I wasn't under any particular duress. I will call it just, another statement of awareness. So about a month ago, I tend to hire, housekeepers, and I do it off an app and go from there. And if I like them, I try and hire them permanently. And when they usually stay about a year, and then when housekeepers quit, at least from my experience, they don't call you. They just don't show. They don't answer their phone. They don't respond to texts. Then you need to get another one. So, my long-term, I guess she's been with me about a year and a half. She quit. Right. And, so it was time for me to order another one. So I go to this app, the one I usually use. The name of it escapes me at the moment, but I pay in advance, and then they send someone. They don't tell you who they're going to send. They don't show you a picture of who they're going to send. You pay in advance. They show up on that day. They do what you paid for. And if you want to keep working with them, you can do that. So this time around, I got a 40-year-old Caucasian woman with tattoos all down her neck, her arms, and her face. Shows up 10 minutes early, very bright, very polite, all of that good stuff. So, I've already paid for it. By the time she knocked on the door, she's already been paid. Or at least the money has come out of my account. Put it that way. So I contemplated whether or not I was going to let her in, but I did. She came in very nice, did good work. We had a great conversation. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, in the midst of the conversation, she got to revealing some things about herself that I thought were pertinent to the discussions we have on this show. What we talked about is her background, right? And so she started to tell me, she was a professional girl when she was younger, stripper, the whole deal. But as we kept talking, and see, I have this tendency as a scholar, when I run into some people that are interesting and different or living an entirely different life, I go into sociology mode and I start asking questions politely, but just because it's a unique opportunity to learn some things. So anyway, long story short, she tells me that she used to own a stripping establishment and service. And then she said that she owned this service where they did private stripping at people's homes. I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I asked a few questions about the business, whatever. She answered them. And really, she was feeling me out to see if, probably if I was a cop or if I was, maybe extremely conservative or religious and would take offense or whatnot. But when she felt comfortable, she really started to let the information out. Turns out she's still doing it. And so I said, okay, interesting. I said, as far as, private stripping is concerned, where's the line between, what she called dancing and sex? And she was like, there is none. We do that all the time. I said, oh, interesting. Okay. I said, so you're still doing that? She said, yeah, yeah. And so what I realized in that conversation with her is that she's still doing it. And more than still doing it, she wasn't a housekeeper that strips and provides services on the side. She was primarily a working girl, sex worker, who house kept on the side. As a matter of fact, she was saying things had gotten so desperate. She does everything from painting houses to pressure washing driveways to cleaning carpets. Like, she was looking around my house to figure out what service she could provide across the board, And yes, she was offering dancing and other services as well. And I wasn't really prepared, to hear, that, but she was talking about her level of desperation. She started talking about her kids and what they're going through, so I'm just engaging her in this dialogue, but I'm learning more and more about it. She's telling me about, ask her about clients and, situations she's been through. She shares all of that with me, but it dawned on me at the end of that conversation. This is a working girl who was hustling to come up with anything she could. She lived, in the hood, across town or whatnot. And she was using the app and housekeeping as a way to find new clients. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is I really wasn't ready to hear at that given moment how desperate, some people have gotten because of the economy, where things are going, whatnot. But I kind of wanted to just put in your ear. Now, like I said, it's not necessarily a warning because she didn't do anything to me. And I'm pretty skeptical about all kinds of people. She didn't have to be a working girl for me to be skeptical. I mean, new housekeepers, I'm skeptical of, period, because you don't really know if somebody's setting you up to be robbed or whatever. And it's not like it's an expensive endeavor. I think it costs roughly about $100 a visit, So if you're a single man, you live in your own spot, paying a housekeeper is not really an expensive endeavor. But you never know what people are coming to the table with. You don't know what they're doing, who they know, what they're planning, none of that. So it's not necessarily that she's a pro, that I'm concerned. And like I said, we had a great conversation. Nothing happened. Nobody came back later, although she did make mention about how, how established my alarm system was, if you want to call that a warning. But I just thought it important to let brothers know this is where it's gotten to. You know what I mean? And there's a million other stories, and I'm sure many of you have those stories. So I am asking in the comment section for you to share some of the things you're running across now, things that you may not have seen in the past in terms of how some of these women are getting down. Because I've had several housekeepers over the last decade. And this is the first one I've ever had, come straight out and petition me on these grounds, right? Because of YouTube, I can only be so descriptive, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about. This is the first time that I've seen one bold enough to necessarily do that. And she told me straight out. She said, a lot of the clients that she has, they don't even get to the sex part. She said sometimes they pay her just to clean house naked. She said some of them paid her just to eat dinner with them naked. Like, she's just giving me, and then she started talking about her prices or whatever. And I was just like, it's hitting me while she's telling me. I'm like, not only is she petitioning me, but this is the new business model for some. And I'm just kind of like, all right, let me let my brothers know, be mindful. It can come at you from all kinds of directions. Not necessarily saying it's got to be anything, dangerous, although we all know those things can be. We've seen, hell, on dating apps, people getting set up to get robbed, killed for whatever they got in their pockets. This stuff can get dangerous, but I just kind of wanted to put that in your ear that the game is kind of changing in all kinds of ways, or at least elements of it that were a little more hidden in the past are becoming more apparent because things are getting more desperate. Things are getting, there's a lot more tension, a lot more economic insecurity, so I just kind of want to let brothers know, be mindful, be aware that it's changing. And if you can, share how you've seen things changing so other brothers might be made more aware of it. Now, another facet of that story that's kind of reaching my awareness anyway is the homelessness hustle on YouTube, most especially. Now, as of the other night, I had about this is a Facebook post I made of a video I ran across where up to that point I had about 5 videos sent to me by the YouTube algorithm of Black women living in their cars. And they're not asking for help. Well, they are asking for donations, but what they're doing is they're selling it as a great thing. They're not talking about how desperate they are, how much they need help. They will casually ask for help, but for the most part, they sell living in cars like the new lifestyle that's bringing them peace, whatever. And I just, I've ran across this a couple of years ago, but at least from what I could tell, it looks like it may be increasing again. I'm going to read my response to it for those who may not be able to see it on the screen. It said, emotional breakthroughs aside in this video, this is the 5th video that's popped up since last night with Black women trying to make homelessness look like a viable choice and the new source of their happiness, at least until their car or van breaks down in the snow. So first, they were talking about independence and not needing men. Then black men were too broke and only wanted 50-50. Then it was they should date other races, most particularly white men, because they were too loyal to Black men and should expand their options. Then it was passport sisters, an attempted revival of something they kicked off in Black America in the 1990s with How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Now they're liberated, living in vans and cars and Walmart parking lots. Anything but cooperation. Please make this make sense. #pride. So I'm sharing this with you because I'm seeing more of it. And I'm curious to know what you guys are seeing. And I've since gotten another, 10 videos since then showing me more Black women in vans and cars. And usually they're cars that they bought for about $1,000 several years prior. And they're driving through snow. They're looking for parking lots. And it's a mess. But again, curious to know what you guys have run across. Curious to know what you've seen. But that and the housekeeper incident and another video that I'll kind of show you on the screen in a moment kind of got me thinking about, where things are, right? Let me see. Let me go ahead and bring this on the screen. Like I said, this will only take a minute. This is based on a short blog piece that I wrote the other day. I want to say yesterday, maybe. This is on the same blog that I keep everything on, newblackmasculinities.wordpress.com. And let me just kind of scroll to it real quick. This is the video I ran across. Now, I've run across about 7 of these. These videos where, Black women are being fired, women in general, but especially Black women are losing their jobs. Now, I'm not making light of any of this because this can happen to anybody. And it is no fun to lose your employment. It can be extremely difficult to find new employment. So I'm not making fun at all of people going through this. But what I find is that as Black women are going through this kind of thing, I'm seeing reactions that are kind of, coming to us in social media in a variety of different ways. So I'm going to kind of give you my response in this particular blog piece. And so this one, you see the gentleman there, tuxedo, serving food. This one's called, "Okay, I'll Allow You to Serve Me Now," by yours truly, right? And so basically, I say what Black men have been trying to say since the 1980s, when all of this independent boss babe narrative began, and Black women started telling Black men they didn't need them unless they made more money than them, is that because our particular history in this country, we don't have wealth, inherited or otherwise. We tried to tell them that the jobs they had that made them feel superior to their men could be taken away at any moment. I first witnessed this in the 1990s after dating a couple of corporate consultants with bachelor's degrees in English. Now, mind you, the corporate consulting they were doing had nothing to do with their degrees at all. Nothing. Anyway, they each made 6 figures and they, got these positions right out of undergrad. Now, this was not something I saw brothers able to do at that time, especially. So we talking about 93 to 96. This is the kind of thing I saw Black women able to do, right? They didn't even have benefits, in these positions, and were the first to be released when the economy took a downturn. But that superiority complex wasn't going anywhere, and they believed that they would always have such positions, the positions many Black men didn't have, simply because they were brilliant. It never dawned on them that such could be temporary and had more to do with corporate public appearance and government policy than their brilliance or magic. Truthfully, both employment and entrepreneurship has not offered macro level Black economic stability, particularly on a multi-generational level. Now, I say this because I hear a lot of brothers talking about quit your job, start a business. I've owned several, and I can tell you 99% of black businesses in particular fail. An overwhelming majority of, especially considering we start them with no inherited wealth, if you had to live on a business you're just starting, the overwhelming majority of people would starve. There's nothing wrong with hustling. You got to do all kinds of things to keep things afloat. But I just kind of want to push back against this idea that employment is the only option. It's the best thing possible. No, there are vulnerabilities there. You can lose your job at the drop of a hat, which people are experiencing now. But entrepreneurship is not, a panacea either. Starting a business is great, but the percentage of them that succeed, let alone provide you enough to take care of yourself, especially in the first few months, that's not a common thing either. So I really want to just kind of debunk a lot of the mythology around, either option, employment or entrepreneurship. They both have problems. They both have potential benefits, but none is just an automatic cure for any ailment. They're not. Anyway, as I continue, and I say this is not accidental. Black economic viability has been under attack since Reconstruction. It has been undermined at every turn by both policy and violence. You can lose your job working for a person or an institution in a heartbeat. Similarly, the overwhelming majority of Black entrepreneurial businesses never make it off the ground. And without inherited wealth, much of the time we're starting and running businesses on fumes, even without brick and mortar addresses, right? You can have an online business and you're still running it on fumes. So you got the older brother there holding the tray. You'll see why in a moment. I said, what Black men have been trying to tell Black women is that the only way we can do that is together, like our grandparents and great-grandparents did. But this narrative of, one, you have to make more than me, 6 figures, to be worthy of me, and 2, your money is my money and my money is my money, stifles cooperation and trust. Because we made little headway on those two fronts in the last 65 years or so, considering gynocentric welfare, higher education, and white-collar employment options, men have thrown up their hands and sought peace on their own. And honestly, we kind of drug our feet too long before getting to this point. Searching for alignment with other women who don't have that collective philosophy, or going monk altogether, right? When you watch these videos here, you're talking about women who've got divorced, they were living their best lives, independent, didn't need men, then they're losing their jobs and freaking out. Now, the freaking out part, I'm not judging, because many people would, but the degree to which it never dawned on them that actually being with men and working things out might be a viable solution is a problem. But even when they are, as I'm about to get to in a minute, you'll see there are other problems that arise when women start to figure out after the fact that they need men. I said, so now that they've started to lose their jobs, all of a sudden financial cooperation is becoming sexy again. But I think many Black men know that it's only such because they're in dire straits. And as soon as they have the opportunity to go back to that independent woman mind state, they will leave. Even now, when they make videos on social media talking about the value of Black love, they mainly talk about a self-serving interpretation of a traditional relationship where men provide resources while they fail to mention or even consider what they would reciprocate in kind. In other words, they want conditional traditionalism, where men provide all the services that were talked about in the 1950s and women do whatever the hell they feel like. That's the dynamic they want. They don't ever want to be their grandmothers and great-grandmothers. And there's a lot of argument there as to what those women were actually like, but they don't want to be anything close to that anyway. But they want you to be your great-grandfather, in terms of this idea of service. I continue. They voiced that they want Black men to do everything, including shovel snow. Now, the list I'm about to give you is all the things that I've seen women say in social media, Black women in social media, what they want from men. So just to be clear, I'm not pulling this list out of nowhere. These are things that I've seen Black women say either in my personal life or via social media. So they voiced that they want Black men to do everything, including shovel snow, provide chauffeur services, babysit, fight off strangers, deliver meals, randomly buy her gifts she can show off to her girlfriends, provide so they can quit their jobs and do nothing at home, because that's what they think traditional housewives do, anticipate her moods and preemptively prepare to make her feel good, perform mind-blowing sex, but only on her terms and time schedules, give unending emotional labor by providing non-advice-based listening for indefinite periods of time, buy her houses, Provide sperm on demand if she wants babies. Now, and don't forget, y'all, remember a couple of years ago when they were talking about black sperm, in terms of sperm banks, the percentage of black sperm was so low, it was ridiculous. Black women couldn't find the sperm they needed. So turn into everyday cats with a little bit of seduction. They can do that very thing. They can get sperm out of guys who aren't even thinking about babies. So be aware of that, right? So provide sperm on demand if she wants babies, except that she may have pre-planned divorcing you afterwards, only to hit you up for child support, even for babies you never wanted. I can't tell you how many brothers I've run across that got hit with that hustle. Cook meals, raise their children from previous relationships while they pursue other ventures, fight or attack previous baby daddies. I call this pit bullying. Buy cars, buy expensive jewelry, bags and shoes, offer prenuptial agreement-free marriages, pay for expensive trips out of the country, routinely take her to expensive restaurants, pay bills, of course, and be lovingly supportive if and when she wants to leave you arbitrarily. This also means stay readily available to take her back when and if she wants it, and abandon anyone you may have met in the interim to prove your love to her. Now, the taking her back thing is, really when she thinks the grass is greener, goes out to find out that the next guys that she may have tried to leave you for were actually not, able to provide what you were. And provide doesn't have to just mean monetary expenses. It can be emotional labor, so on and so forth. So when she jumps out there, finds out the grass isn't greener, knocks on your door, and does what AC calls the reach back, right? You've been hearing a lot about the reach back lately, and it's important to be aware of it because there's a lot of it, and it's happening now. A couple years ago, brothers were talking about getting a reach back then, and it's happening again in a new wave now. And I've gotten several, actually. So it's real. The ending portion of it says, few men are interested in being anyone's temporary life raft, only to be discarded the next time she thinks somebody has a boat. And P.S., most of the time, they don't. Right? So I just wanted to share this because as BGS once explained to me, a lot of people don't have time to read. They don't have the energy to read. And I wanted to document it and put it up there so, people can check it out later. But I wanted to provide it for you here just to kind of generate some discussion. And I want to hear what you brothers think. I want to hear what your experiences are. Are you feeling the reach back? Are you seeing it happening? What forms is it taking? What kind of things are you observing in this? And this is probably most important, what exactly are you being asked to provide? That's what I'm curious about. I really want to know. So that said, like I said, this one isn't going to be a long one. I just really kind of wanted to put some things into your attention, put some of that on the table for you to look at. And I look forward to hearing back from you. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. And I hope everybody's well. So y'all have a good one. I'll let y'all later. Peace.